Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Coffee with John. Looking forward to talking to Deniz Kent. Did I pronounce that right, Deniz?
Yeah.
Yes, I thought. Okay. Deniz, it's great to connect with you. You are the CEO and co-founder of Prolific Machines. I'm going to let you explain what it is because it's pretty high end. It's pretty like high level, and I don't want to mess it up. So kind of define to the coffee community what this is, what your company is.
Sure. I mean, at a high level, what we're trying to do is build the infrastructure to create all biological products, which include medicines, food, fuel, materials, basically everything that humans need is biological in nature. It can be made from cells, which are just like the little machines that we're made of. And the major bottleneck to making everything that we need is our ability to control and grow those cells. And so what Prolific has built is the best technology in the world to grow and control cells. And that allows you to make every biological product.
Such as?
Medicine, fuel, food, materials.
So like Cheerios?
Cheerios are made from cells.
Right. So Cheerios, like the box of Cheerios will one day say, instead of the ingredients, it'll just say, ingredients, cells. Like, break that down.
Well, okay, so in the Cheerios example, the ingredients already, they don't say cells, but they say, wheat. Wheat is made from cells.
Yeah.
So cells are they're super interesting because they're everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
Right. That's why it's hard to, comprehend. I said when we got on, I said, and I don't really ever say this, but I said, I don't really understand. I'm not really sure I know what you do. I could, and I guess, I read through it and it's hard to wrap my arms around it.
Yeah.
So talk to me.
It depends on how deep you want to go, of course.
Right.
So
let's start kindergarten level. Well,
kindergarten level is all of us are made from these little things called cells, and they're like these little machines, and trillions of them come together and they create humans and plants and chickens and cows and dogs and all of those things. You go one layer up would be like, okay, there are lots of different ways to try and control cells. You can build these little machines that you can put them in called bioreactors, and then you can build control infrastructure inside of those bioreactors. And historically, that has been done using technology that is pretty say like basic. And what Prolific does is build technology where every process inside of the cell can be controlled specifically and precisely using different colors of light that get shone onto the cells. So we can basically turn cells from these black boxes that we can't understand and can't control into these easily programmable, easily tunable machines that can make everything that we need and want.
So you put a bunch of cells in this machine, you throw some light on it, and then it makes wheat? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it can make any biological product. So the stuff that we're making right now is really at the high end of the market, like therapeutic proteins, vaccines. So, like drugs that would cure you of your cancer or ulcerative colitis or dementia. Yeah. So that's like, the super premium stuff that you can make with cells that you can sell for a huge amount of money.
And so that's buys these? Are pharmaceutical companies buying these? So how?
Well, pharmaceutical companies will use this technology to make their products, and then you or your mother or your grandmother or your friends and family will be buying them via doctors and insurance companies.
Yeah.
That's one example, right? So with all new technologies, you tend to start with the most expensive stuff that you can make with it. Yes. And then you slowly work your way down the cost curve. So Cheerios are at some point in that process, but quite a long way down the cost curve. So
Yeah.
you're starting with
Go to the grocery store and I'll pick something up. Like I picked up kiwis a couple months ago, and it said like made like to your point, it was like it felt like it wasn't even like a real kiwi. It was made through like some technology or something.
what is real. How do you define whether a kiwi is real?
I don't know. How do you find it?
Well, so it's a bit of a loaded question because
Yeah.
we did a proof of concept on growing meat with light. My team was the first in the world to do that.
Growing meat.
Growing meat with light. Meat is just made from cells too, of course.
So you have a bunch of cells in this machine, a certain light on the cells, and it makes a steak. Or
you can do that. It can make medicine. It can make meat. It can make dairy proteins. You can make anything that is. The technology is very flexible. You can use it to make anything that is made from cells. You can make human tissues.
It seems it's like science fiction is coming to life, right? Things that we saw on the Jetsons, or
that's a great example. The Jetson oven.
Like that's how they made food on the Jetsons, and so
that's exactly right. The Jetson oven is an excellent example of
correct.
technology working.
Right.
It's basically the Jetson oven embodied via a combination of synthetic biology, hardware, and software.
Correct. And so you make meat based on cells. You put it into this machine. You throw different types of light on it. How long does it take to make meat?
It depends on what you're trying to make, but probably about 14, 15 days.
14, 15 days. And 5 years from now, will that be 5 minutes?
Probably not, no.
Okay. So you make a steak, and then how did it taste based on like a steak from a cow?
Well, we made meatballs grown with light from Wagyu cells, and we did blind taste tests with people, and people preferred the meat grown with light in a blind taste test relative to factory farm meat and plant-based meat. It's just one example, right? So you can.
But what did they like about it?
Well, we just asked them to say which is the tastiest. What is the tastiest, middle tasty, least tasty? And 70% plus said that our meat grown with light was the tastiest.
And how do you know what colors create certain things?
Oh, that's a good question. So we have this large data set of light sensitive proteins that we take from nature. And these plants behind me over here, all plants have light sensitive proteins. So all bacteria and all algae also have light sensitive proteins. They exist in many different wavelength activation states. So you can have light sensitive proteins that will get activated by blue light, by red light, by far red light, green light, etc. So you can attach these light sensitive proteins to various different things in the cell, and then independently control different processes in the cell with different colors of light.
Yeah.
Now we're going above the kindergarten level into we're going a little bit into the weeds, which I'm happy to do.
No, this is great. But let's just pretend in 5 years, am I going to be able to go to Amazon, my Amazon Prime account, and order something that will just kind of, I put this on my counter next to my stove or wherever, and like a crock pot, that cooks for 5 hours, all of a sudden I come back and there's like a steak and mashed potatoes, like how will this be mainstream at some point?
Great question. I think the answer is yes, it will go mainstream. And the idea of, everyone having a bioreactor at home could happen. Is probably unlikely. I think what's more likely is that it goes mainstream via large biomanufacturing facilities that are making stuff that we would just buy either via going to a doctor or going to a supermarket or going to a restaurant or going to a shop. So it's more likely to be like the hidden layer behind the stuff that you're engaging with and buying, rather than something that you're making in your own home. Although
Right,
you could
but
have
is it realistic? Is it realistic at some point, let's say a decade from now,
Mhm.
um, that people just have this in their home and they don't even have to go to the grocery store or the drugstore or anywhere because they have a robot in their house that does all the cleaning and chores and a machine that makes food out of cells?
It's entirely possible, like scientifically speaking, it's feasible. I mean, it's a bit like,
This is very, by the way, I'm all about forward thinking and technology. I love it. I had a technology company in my early 20s, but this is like Star Trek, Star Wars, Jetsons all combined.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a bit like, could you have just a cow and a chicken at home and use that for your food? It's like, sure, but it's probably more convenient to just go to a shop and buy beef and chicken when you want it. So
Yeah.
it'll probably be the same thing. It's like, could you have a bioreactor at home making all these things? Sure. Is that going to be the most convenient way for you to get the stuff that you want? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But some people will probably do it just because it's fun.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's interesting. So how did you figure this out?
Well, I mean, I have an incredible team that does most of the hard part. I just talk about optogenetic biomanufacturing, and then I have an incredible, talented team of scientists and engineers that actually do the optogenetic biomanufacturing. So it's mainly my team figuring it out, not me. But in terms of my background,
But is this something? Wait, I have a question. Is this something you were like thinking, okay, it's possible, so I'm going to kind of take it to the next level, or like, hey, I want this to be possible, so I put a team together to figure it out?
It's more the latter. So I conceived of the idea during my PhD. I'm a scientist.
That's very moonshot thinking. That's very moonshot thinking, right? And so, how did you gather a team to do that?
With great difficulty. I conceived of the idea during my PhD. I was studying regenerative medicine and tissue engineering and immunology, and I became super interested in biomanufacturing just because it was kind of clear to me that so much of the conflict that is happening in the world and so many of the wars that we're fighting are fundamentally fights about resources that can be made with cells. And so if we could just make abundant cellular products like food, fuel, medicine, materials, we basically don't have there's no like pressing reason to go to war with each other or fight each other if everybody has enough resources that they need. Like you look at what's happening in the Middle East right now, it's like so much of this is about controlling oil. If everyone can just make abundant oil, then this would be sort of a non-issue.
Right.
So it was kind of very clear to me that biomanufacturing had the potential to change the world profoundly. But it was also very clear to me that the tools that we had to control biology were not very good. And then I was doing a deep dive on what could be better tools, and then came across this idea of controlling cells with light. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be it, because light simultaneously has the lowest possible cost and the highest possible quality and control. Historically, technologies that have had the combo of lowest cost and highest control quality tend to get adopted. And so then we got started. Initially, there was, just me that believed in this, and I was, making very slow progress. And then eventually I hired co-founders, and we were making a little bit faster progress, but still pretty slow progress. And then eventually we could raise money, we could hire employees. I was no longer the only biologist in the lab. And then I transitioned to do more like investor relations, fund, business development, that kind of stuff. And now we have, far more competent scientists than me that actually do the science, which is great news for the world and for Prolific.
I mean, I wish you could, like, great success. It's so Marvel Comics sounding, right?
Well, thanks, John. If you're ever in the Bay Area, come stop by, and I'd love to.
Yeah, I
show
would
you
love to see it at work. I would love to see it at work. Like, give everybody a visual. Is it like, like how like if you're looking at a machine that's building meat, is it building it one little piece at a time? Like give me what's it give every the listeners a visual. You're on mute. All right, so give a visual.
Okay, I'll give you a visual. So this was the world's first. Can you see my phone?
Yeah.
This was the world's first 10-liter optogenetic reactor that we built. So this is an example of the hardware that we. This is what the Jetson oven looks like. This is a 10-liter version of it. This is a 50-liter. This is a 50-liter version of it.
Okay.
This is a 200-liter version of it.
Okay. And so it starts. So give us a visual. Like, does it build meat one little piece at a time? Like, how does that?
This was meat grown with light.
That's crazy.
Oh, so we just made meatballs, right? So we haven't made like a sashimi yet.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to prove that it was possible to grow meat with light, which, frankly, nobody believed.
Yeah.
And so we had to prove it. But we have also done like interesting experiments where we can pattern cells with light. So these are like a population of like thousands of cells. Can you see my phone?
Yeah.
Like thousands of cells that get patterned with light. So you can hit some cells with one color of light, push them in one direction.
Yeah.
Hit other cells with other colors of light, push them in a different direction. This is just the Prolific logo. But this is sort of the premise for how you would build a steak or a tissue is like, you would like slowly shine different colors of light on different places and slowly start patterning.
Very, very cool. Who is your inspiration as to do what you're doing now, early in life?
As a PhD student, I was deeply inspired by the cultured meat industry, and I remember reading the Reddit post of the first meatball that was grown by cells, and it wasn't using light; it was just using conventional technology.
Yeah,
but I was so inspired by that because. I love eating meat and I feel terrible about it. And I'd like to ideally be able to eat meat, but without having any of the negative externalities like, causing climate change or suffering to animals, deforestation, the list goes on and on, antibiotic resistance. So I was in a place in my life where I was trying to be vegetarian, unable to be vegetarian, feeling bad about myself. And then I saw this Reddit post. I was like, this is awesome. Like this is the solution for how I can have a meat-heavy, guilt-free life.
Yeah.
And I really wanted that. And so that was a big part of what took me on the journey into this. So I was like, okay, so I became like super bullish on cultured meat, and then I became super bearish on cultured meat, and then I had this idea, and I was like, so initially Prolific started as a way to make cultured meat viable by giving them a technology that could get to lower costs than factory farming and higher quality. And then as we kind of, went down this path, we kind of realized that so pretty much everything in the economy, not everything, but pretty much everything can be made from cells. Yeah. So we're basically sitting on a technology to make most of what we need.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I think it's, that story is great. And, I think you're an example of true moonshot thinking, right? Trying to figure out something that hasn't been done before. And that's really inspiring. So congratulations on, finding that bridge. All right, quick speed round. If you could have coffee with anybody in the world, who would it be and why?
Do they have to be alive right now?
No. Living or dead?
I think the old Haitian leader who used to be a slave, Toussaint Louverture, would be a very interesting man to have coffee with.
Why?
Because he was a Haitian slave for a long time, and then he led the only successful slave rebellion in the world, and then eventually became the leader of Haiti, and then eventually got assassinated by the French Empire. And he was very interesting because in all of the previous slave rebellions, the slaves killed everyone that they overthrew, and those rebellions always ended up not working. And Toussaint was kind of a genius, not on multiple different fronts, but he kind of realized that the only way to make his slave rebellion work was to overthrow the slave owners, who were, horrible. And, like Haitian slavery, like all slavery is terrible. Haitian slavery was like especially terrible. And so once he overthrew the slave owners, he kind of realized that the whole Haitian economy was built on sugar. And if they killed all the slave owners, there was no way that Haiti could survive, because the slave owners had all of the relationships that they needed in order to continue to sell sugar. And so it's the only example in history where the slaves revolted, and then instead of killing the slave owners, they actually let them live and reduced their tax rate so that they could afford to pay the slaves a salary and continue running the plantations. And that actually worked. Like that actually led to Haiti being a functional society without slavery. But because he kind of understood all of the puzzle pieces and understood that, like, actually, if you just kill all the slave owners, even though that will feel good, it's actually gonna fuck up the system. And so he was like a real systems thinker and visionary and a true brilliant mind.
That's interesting. I didn't know that story. I appreciate you sharing. I'm going to do some additional research on that.
Yeah.
A book that had a big impact on you.
That's a hard one.
We'll save that for another.
No. I've got one. So Aldous Huxley, he had the and I read this as a teenager, and he had that book where basically everyone is given this drug, soma, to make them happy, Brave New World, and everyone is like super happy in society all the time. And it's kind of the story of one character in this society where everyone is happy, realizing that happiness is maybe not the thing that we should be optimizing for. And that like completely blew my mind. I was like 14 reading this.
Oh,
I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean I shouldn't be happy? It's like, well, if I'm not trying to optimize for maximal happiness, then what am I trying to optimize for? What's the point of life? It was like one of those books where I was just like, after reading it, I couldn't really talk to anyone or do anything for a while. I was just like in shock.
Yeah.
It kind of like took me on a long inquiry about like, what's the point of life? What should I be optimizing for?
I'm a big fan of optimizing for happiness, though. I think happiness is important. All right, tell everybody where they can connect with you, Deniz.
I think contentment and peacefulness are more important than happiness, in my opinion. So how you can find me is I'm on LinkedIn, Deniz Kent, spelled DenizKent. My company is called Prolific Machines. You can find us online. I have a personal website, www.denizkent.com. I have a book coming out on biomanufacturing. If anyone's interested in learning more about these magic Jetson ovens,
Yeah.
you can follow me on LinkedIn and read the book. And yeah, we'd love to send you a copy, of course.
Yeah, send me a copy. No, I would love it. Deniz, this is great. Thanks for letting people know that what we see in the Jetsons could actually potentially become a reality, and Moonshot Thinking works. It is
a reality today.
Yeah. I appreciate it. This was great. Thanks, everybody.